Hello and welcome. My name is Grace, and in this video, let's talk about books. But I'm gonna do a different spin on books. When I was starting out with my interest in all things spooky, metaphysical, witchy, what have you, the occult, I had no money. I was a kid. I didn't have any money. I didn't have an allowance. My friends I grew up with had an allowance. I didn't have an allowance. No money, people. And I think this is the point I'm wanting to make already at the start of this video, is that to practice magic, to explore your interest in metaphysics, to explore your interest in witchcraft, to practice witchcraft, you don't need money. And I think, I don't know, what started all this was I was looking at my bookshelf. And I was thinking, oh, okay, well, remember we talked. I did a video a while back on spiritual addiction and mental masturbation. I need something. I always need something. I'm always looking for the next book I'm going to read. I'm always looking for next deck I'm going to try out. You know what I mean? I have a store full of incense in my house. I'm always looking for a new incense, a new experience, constantly. It's just the way I'm wired. I think a lot of people are wired that way. And so I was thinking, nowadays, if you're starting out, well, the internet, there's tons of content on the internet that's free. And people with authority will say, well, not everything on the internet is good. And this is true, right? But it's true with everything else too. Not all the books that are available are going to be perfect. And not all the books are going to resonate with you. Or you're not going to resonate with all the books that are available. But there's tons of books in the public domain because man has been mystified by the natural world, magic, sorcery, since the beginning of time. And I guess in my video, what I wanted to talk about was I'm thinking of instead of just reading new books, which, of course I'm going to read new books. That's who I am. A reader is a reader, right? We enjoy being exposed to new information. But I'm going to revisit some of my old books, and I'd like to invite you to do the same. Now, I know with the pandemic it's a little sketchy because some stores have closed indefinitely. It's hard to get out there, but if a thrift store in your area is still open, you can check there for used books. If the used bookstore in your area is open, in America, you guys are so lucky. You have websites dedicated to used books, and you're not paying an eye for postage. I remember up until 15 years ago, I could order a bag of books, like a whole mail bag full of books from Powell's Books in Portland, and pay something crazy like $3.50 shipping. I think that was media mail or something like that. Anyway, we don't have that in Canada. But if you live in America, you do. So, without further ado, I'm going to share with you some books that I have obtained. Some I had, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not quite sure which ones are newer to me. Some are newer to me. I'm not sure if any of these are still in print, but that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is that there's tons of books on witchcraft and tarot and parapsychology and telepathy and astrology that, you can find at a used bookstore, you can find at a thrift shop for like pennies. And they're worth the investment of like 25 cents, 50 cents, a buck, whatever. Because there is something in all of these books for everybody. So I'm going to start with, I just like showing this one, okay? I got this cover, this multimedia, like different fabric kind of book cover. I got this for my copy of Linda Goodman's Sun Signs. This is what my copy looks like. This book is from the late 60s. I bought it, or I got it for free at a tag sale or something in 1980, I want to say 84, maybe 83. In 1983, people. So this book was already a little old when I got it, right? Now it's a bona fide antique. Look at these pages. It smells amazing. And I'll show you what the cover looks like. I have a few copies of this book, but this is my original. This is my original copy. This is probably my first ever metaphysical book of like that genre that I've ever read, got, whatever. This one was quickly followed by Real Magic, which is not in this pile because I just wasn't thinking. So I'm just going to pause and grab it off my shelf. And I'm back. So this is the next book I got. Same kind of scenario. Tag sale. I think I paid it a nickel, or they just gave it to me because I think the person having this just gave it to me because it was falling apart. Look at this. Isn't that amazing? Isaac Bonowitz. Anyway, I love this book. So it was Linda Goodman's Sun Signs. This book. I have to tell you, these are two books that I read and that I've reread many, many times over the course of decades. I still enjoy them. I really do. Now, I'm not sure which came first. It was either this one or this one. It was around the same time. So, Diary of a Witch by Sybil Leek and Magic and Witchcraft by Catherine Paulson. This one, I guarantee you, is out of print. This one might still be kicking around somewhere. I don't know. I didn't look it up. But I do know that this one is in the public domain, also by Catherine Paulson. And I think there's a PDF copy that's floating around in the Webiverse, which is Potions and Spells. People, this is not Wicca. This is witchcraft. This book, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like this book needs to come with a warning. Don't do any of this stuff. It's very barbaric. Capturing a mourning dove and roasting them in your oven until they're pulverized, and then you know what I mean? Like this is take the heart of a fat pigeon that was caught at sunrise, steep it in wine with some of your blood, the eye of a little green frog, and the stinger of a bee. Add some sugar and spices and strain it. Put some into the wine of whomever you love. Now, people, when I was younger, I took this as, this has to be real. As I got older, I looked at this and said, oh, come on. This is a freaking gag. Like, this is a gag gift or something like that. It's a book to have a few laughs and stuff like that. Now that I'm even older, I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. I'm just saying. It's adorable. I've seen the cover. I think there's a blue cover of the same book, or mine is just, I don't know, discolored from, or the blue one is discolored. I don't know. But this one, So, you know, this one on the back, I think, I don't know if this one is still available. Mine's ancient because, you know, yeah, mine 1980 is, you know, this one was printed in 1980. And on the back it says, the unique guide to everything you need to know to become a witch. Seriously, people, it's like, I thought, oh, bingo, awesome, here it is, my manual. Compiled from medieval charm books and grimoires, as well as from modern sources, this fascinating reference discloses in full detail the techniques, materials, incantations, and spells of the forbidden arts of sorcery and witchcraft practices around the world. Included are complete chapters on, and there's a list. If you're interested in the theory or practice of magic, black, white, or gray, this book is an invaluable addition to your library of the mystic sciences. It's a fun read. Now, I just ate this stuff up when I was young. Oh my God. Anyway. So the next books I wanted to share with you are more recent to my... Oh no, this is also an old one. I think I got this one before I even got cart. Like even before I bought a deck. I'm not quite sure. This one came in a pile of books that... See, when I was a kid, I was a creepy little kid, and people knew about me, and they would just come and bring their creepy little books to my dad's friend's house or my dad's house, and they would just leave them there for me. So, and when I'd come stay with my dad, when I'd go stay with my dad in the summertime, I'd have like a little box of books waiting for me, and this I think was one of them that was in there. I didn't own cards yet. This is by Eden Gray. Anyway, I guess it's not this one, but oh, look at that. I think I've shown this one before. I'm pretty sure I have. But anyway. Now, the rest of them are a little more recent. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you today is because I wanted to say, you know, sometimes it's just fun to read stuff. Like, it doesn't have to be, I know... See, and the reason why I'm sharing this is because I get into this headspace sometimes that, oh, well, you know, my time's at a premium. I'm a very busy woman. And if I'm going to read something, it's got to have like a 5-star review on Amazon and Goodreads. And people have to, you know, people I respect have to tell me that this book is like amazing, because otherwise it's not worth my time. More importantly, it's not worth my money. These things are cheap. So if they turn out to be not for me, it doesn't matter. I paid $0.25 for it. So here's a book by Bronislaw Malinowski, Magic, Science, and Religion and Other Essays, with an introduction by Robert Redfield. This book is ancient. This one, oh Dios mío. Let me see how ancient this one is. Reprinted by arrangement with the Free Press, copyright 1948. This book has gold in it. This book is so interesting. And there's tons of books like it at used bookstores everywhere. It doesn't have to be specifically this one. This one is no writer of our... So here's like the ad copy in the back, right? It says, no writer of our times has done more than Bronislaw Malinowski to bring together in a single comprehension the warm reality of human living and the cool abstractions of science. Malinowski's gift was double. It consisted both in the genius given usually to artists and in the scientist's power to see and to declare the universal in the particular. This book is an interesting read. I paid $0.05 for it, $0.25. I don't know. I don't remember. But I think I may have even found it at a free library. You know, like those, you know, you go to nursing homes normally have like, you know, a library. Like at least the nursing homes I worked at would have a library, and people would just bring in their books to populate the library, and I would go in and like fish out all the metaphysical books. But this one I think I bought at a used bookstore. It's being open to new ideas that keeps me interested in metaphysics. Because I revisit these books on my shelf when I'm feeling a little jaded, when I'm feeling like I'm reading the same books over and over again, because it's like that in any era. In any era. If I were to, oh my God, sorry, I gotta get comfortable. If I were to pull out all my books from the 90s, it doesn't matter. It's like it could be numbered. You're reading the same stuff. They're all using, if you look an example, because this is my example, because it was in the 90s that suddenly there was a gold rush of books on witchcraft, metaphysics, tarot, you name it. New Age was massive. But when you check the bibliography, a lot of those books by different authors had the same books in their bibliography. And this is what I'm getting at. I have books on my shelf that are old like this because I saw them in the bibliographies of more recent books. And when I say recent, take that too with a grain of salt, people. It's like I've been around a long time. So sometimes when I'm saying recent, I mean 2000. That's 20 years ago already. But you know what I mean? Maybe you don't. If you're really young, you don't know. But if you're my age or older, you understand. Or if you're closer to my age and older, you understand. Is that it's books on witchcraft, metaphysics, tarot, doesn't matter, dreams, telepathy, astral projection. These books, the authors wrote about this stuff before now. So, and these books are still valid. And if you look, and again, that's what I was getting at about the bibliographies. If you look at the bibliographies of modern day books, you'll find these classics. I was reminded just the other day of this book. I have it on my Kindle because I'm sure I have a hard copy, but I didn't want to order a secondhand copy. This is Astral Projection by Ophiel, the art and practice of astral projection by Ophiel. Now, my friend Agostino, he had mentioned this book on a Facebook group discussion. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have that book. Well, I couldn't find it. And I was having that a FOMO. It was like, oh my God, what if I lost my book or whatever? And I didn't want to order it secondhand because I don't know, blah, blah, blah. How it was going to arrive, who knows when. Kindle. Kindle's your friend. This is my favorite book. This is the only book, wherever it is, that I kept on astral projection. The rest of them, I read them and donated them, rehomed them. They're long gone. Astrology books are a dime a dozen. I'm telling you, you go to any used bookstore, there's going to be an astrology book. There was a time when astrology was a big hot topic. This book right here, let me just see the date on this one. 1973. By Francis Sakoyan and Louis S. Acker. Authors of Astrology and Human Relationships. So, I'll eventually track down that one too. They're still valid. There's still information in here. I just opened up on Mars and Scorpio. You know what I mean? How fitting. So what I'm saying is that if you're feeling like me, if you're feeling that ennui, if you're feeling that malaise, that you're going to the bookstore and there's nothing new because you've read everything. You're browsing Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Chapters Indigo, or just Indigo Books now, and music, whatever they're called. And there's nothing because you've read everything, and what's left doesn't interest you. Hit the used book scene. you never know. You might find something pretty groovy, man. This is Magic, White and Black by Franz Hartmann, MD. The ad copy in the back says this book was written for the purpose of attempting to answer such questions. Which questions are these? Well, is it possible that a man should actually know anything transcending his sensual perception unless it is told to him by some supposed authority? Can the power of intuition be developed to such an extent as to become actual knowledge without any possibility of error, or shall we always be doomed to depend on hearsay and opinions? Can any individual man by modern science, possess powers transcending those which are admitted to exist by modern science, and how can such transcendental powers be acquired? It's a random book I picked up. It's freaking entertaining. I'm not gonna lie. I enjoy this one, and I am going to reread it. And that's the thing too. We all have books on our shelves. Those of us who've been doing this a long time may have books on our shelves. It's like 20, 30 years. I think this crazy year 2020, as it's winding down, I think this is a good time to start revisiting these old books. Here's one I just picked up a couple of weeks ago. I think I may have paid it $1. Dream Telepathy: Scientific Experiments in the Supernatural. Look at all these important people. All these, there's Montague Ullman, MD, Stanley Krippner, PhD, with Alan Vaughan, and forward by Gardner Murphy, PhD. I'm not poking fun at people with degrees and designations and stuff like that. What I'm trying to say is that these books were really popular in the early 70s. Let me see. Let me guess. Not let me guess. Let me check the date on this one, because it looks like 1973. You see, there's a theme here. I tend to gravitate to these books from the early 70s. Because that was like that first boom before the 90s. Like 20 years later, then we had the big Llewellyn boom. Llewellyn Publishing House putting out tons of books on witchcraft. Scott Cunningham putting out a whole string of books. I remember some of the authors that I don't hear about much anymore, but Jarena Dunwich, I think, had put out quite a few books in the 90s and stuff like that. But they didn't have the same... Okay, gravitas is a bit exaggerated, but I feel like the early 70s, the authors that wrote about stuff like dream telepathy and real magic, this one here, they took this shit seriously. And that's what I appreciate about this era of books. So I guess this video really should have been titled Me and My Love for Witchcraft and Metaphysical Books of the Early 70s. It's given... The subjects are approached more seriously, I find. And I think that, it's also a cultural thing, right? I think it's because a lot of the books that came out in the 90s were written to that audience, for that audience, right? And who was reading the books on witchcraft and Wicca and all that stuff in the 90s? Well, teenagers and young adults. Young adult fiction is what I like to call it. With love. Don't hate me. If you're an author from the 90s, I own most of your books. All right? Okay. Look, there's two right above my head right now. Anyway. But the tone was different. And I think this is where my age is starting to show. I prefer the tone in the books written in the 70s, early 70s. and even earlier, like the one that's written in the 40s, over the books written, let's say, in the 90s. But it also depends on the author I'm reading. And that's not to say I don't discount the newer books, but what I'm saying is that I like my knowledge to be layered. I like my experience to be layered too. This is my favorite subject. I'll read everything I could get my hot little hands on this subject. And what I wanted to do with this video today was just to say, hey, you know what? If you're feeling that ennui, if you're feeling bored, if you're feeling like malaise, because, if you're feeling malaise with, a lot of people were describing how they were, they lost their mojo when it came to like tarot cards, or they were feeling malaise, or, and then for me, it started the whole culling and curating my collection to help cure me of that. And I got to tell you that now I'm like totally back into it again. But I've also noticed that my interests had changed. And I got to say, it's I have to blame Natalia when she introduced me to the Thoth tarot in her videos when she was posting videos. And because I got my first Thoth deck, and that freaking changed me, people. It changed my idea about tarot. It changed the way I use tarot. It also changed my taste in tarot decks. Which taste is ever evolving, you know what I mean? But there's there's the basics, right? But if I were to say right now, if someone were to say to me, oh, you can only have one tarot deck, I would say, whoa, hang on, hold the phone. I need at least two. I need one to continue reading for people, which would be a Rider-Waite, and one for myself, Thoth. And that would be enough. And if I were to say what's my most used deck, for myself, it's my Thoth. For reading for the public, it's my Rider-Waite. But that's not to say I don't enjoy, seeing tarot from a different point of view. Same thing with this stuff, which is why I like looking at those old vintage decks and seeing how, especially and reading old tarot books. My favorite has to be the Hoi Polloi, because it really is, it captures early 70s culture, or rather counterculture, where, that's the first time that there, people are writing about or talking about tarot for self-discovery, learn about yourself and your friends with tarot kind of thing. So, yeah, what a ramble. But you know what? That's okay, because this wasn't meant to be an educational video. This was meant to be just me chit-chatting about, hey, you know what? I have all these books, and some of them are like really old, and you know what? They're still relevant. They're still relevant because my practice is layered. My knowledge is layered. My experiences are layered. I'm a layered individual. I'm like an ogre. I have many layers. Shrek reference. All right, people. That's it. So what's the takeaway? If you got old books, dust them off. Take a look through them. Look at recent books or newer books. And when I say recent, I mean even like from 20, 25 years ago. Look at the bibliography. Track down these books that are in bibliographies, because it's a whole other level of learning your craft. And me, I'm a total bibliography scavenger. I even look through like even older books and look through their bibliography to see what books they read and referred to. All right. I'm done. Now I am done. All right. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.